Hey guys, I'm doing a slideshow for you and it's on codependency, surviving to thriving. And the idea ultimately comes from healing childhood trauma and also a book I refer to, which I'll show you in the slides, which is Pete Walker from Surviving to Thriving, which is to do with healing PTSD or complex PTSD, which are completely related. It's just that one means that a lot of the PTSD, complex PTSD, is implicit. It's early on in childhood. And then how we get into relationships or, repeat patterns based on information, early input. And even with a trauma or pain, how we are definitely repeating early stuff. So this is just a short thing that I'm going to show you. This is what I'm going to do. So it's slideshow. So I'm going to go for it. So what we have is that, let's show you the next slide. Codependency in part is where we have not been loved sufficiently in childhood. It's a learnt behavior pattern that needs to be unlearned. So for anybody out there who does have, codependency, which most human beings have, but we have different attachment styles. We have healthy, attachment style, which is secure. And I'm going to run through that as well so that you understand the differences and maybe give you the ability to maybe view or objectify your own life and see where you can begin to help yourself. And also, I love this picture. It's by somebody called, can't remember her name now, actually. I'll have to put it below in the links, but it's a beautiful picture. Brooke Sheldon, or Shaden, Brooke Shaden. It's a beautiful picture, and she's online. You can find her. I've got to add that in because I didn't put her name below this picture, but this picture represents to me where, we're in the deep, we've got our light and we have the light with us, but we're really not sure where we're going or how we're going to get out of the deep, but there is a way. So what we're going to look at now is love and attachment, and secure attachment is positive view of self, positive view of others. It's where we're interdependent. It's where we're comfortable with emotional intimacy, comfortable with closeness. It's healthy relationship bonds. It's secure and trusting. And it's like he is there for me when I need him, and she's always calms me. So it's where we have a balance in relationships and our needs being met. Then we have anxious attachment, which is a negative view of self, a positive view of others. It's where we're dependent. It's fear of losing relationship. It's emotional highs and lows, and also where we can be aggressive, if we don't get what we want, and clinging on separation, and she'll let me down and he'll leave me. So this relates back to childhood. This stuff is by John Bowlby, to do with attachment theory, and you can Google that too to dig deeper. And then we have avoidant attachment, which is positive view of self, a negative view of others. It's independent, self-reliant, difficult to get close to others, and it's where people put up walls. It's where leaving or avoids conflict, and leaves, and during conflict avoids it. So it's I don't need her, and I can't take care of myself sort of attitude, or maybe you can take care of yourself or whatever, but it's just different aspects. And the last one is fearful attachment, and it's a negative view of self. It's a negative view of others. It seeks closeness and avoiding closeness. It's disorganized. It's fearful of making connection, and it could be self-harming or abusive. And it's like there's something wrong with me, no one can love me. So we can skip around in these. We can be secure attachment with some, anxious attachment with others, avoidant attachment, fearful attachment. So we're not stuck in one box. So really dig a bit deep on that as well. This is a nice picture I found, which is, explains anxious, preoccupied. The negative is and the positive, and where our self-esteem is, and fearful avoidant and the negative positive, and the dismissive avoidant and the positive negative again, and secure, there's positive negative, or positive positive, sorry. So let's do that again. We've got secure, which is positive positive. We've got anxious preoccupied, which is negative positive, and then we've got fearful avoidant, which is negative negative, and then we've got dismissive avoidant, which is negative positive. So next slide is the attachment styles. It's good to run deep on this so it really gets into our mind what's going on. So secure is where I can trust fairly easily. It's where it's attuned to emotions. It can communicate upsets directly. And 4, it leads with cooperative and flexible behavior in relationships. And then the anxious is like, has a sensitive nervous system. 2, struggles communicating needs directly. And 3, tends to act out when triggered and can make the partner jealous. And then avoidant dismissive is downplays importance of relationships, is usually extremely self-reliant and could become more vulnerable when there is a big crisis. And avoidant fearful is more dependent in relationships than avoidant dismissive, strongly fears rejection, has low self-esteem, has high anxiety in relationships. So again, we can look at ourselves or how we interact with others or the type of people that we not so much attract into our lives, but that we maybe get into contact with and we find acceptable or unacceptable will be dependent on our attachment styles. Here you can have a little look at this and I'll read it briefly. Secure can be, I believe I am secure in my relationship of 4 years. I feel a sense of security and we have mutual trust. We share our intimate feelings and thoughts and feelings and also care for each other's needs. Although we love spending time together, we have a sense of independence. So that's an example. Another example of preoccupied is a friend of mine has been hurt in the past and as a result has developed a preoccupied style. Her insecurities negatively impact on her relationship. She clings to her partner and constantly demands reassurance, yet finds it difficult to reciprocate her request. And then dismissing is, I have a friend who is dismissing. He thinks quite highly of himself, but due to desire to remain independent, he keeps his admirers at a distance and he doesn't let anyone ever get too close. And then fearful avoidant is, I know a child who fits with this category. He has grown up in an abusive home. He has learned that he cannot trust adults and he is very withdrawn. He has people helping him to work on changing his insecurities and encouraging developing interpersonal relationships. So in Pete Walker's book, there's something called fawn, and we have the fight, flight, freeze, fawn in the 4 Fs, which is to do with how we deal with the fight, flight, freeze is when we get afraid or we're looking at our trauma, and it's a reaction. It's a normal bodily reaction also. Like we can fight if we need to escape something. We can flight, freeze, or fawn or be nice to people if we need to sort of get a job done or something like that. But the fawn type and the codependent defense, this is what this is about. Fawn types seek safety by merging with the wishes and needs and demands of others. They act as if they unconsciously believe that the price of admission to any relationship is the forfeiture of their needs, rights, preferences, and boundaries. They often begin life like the precocious child described in Alice Miller's The Drama of the Gifted Child, who learn that a modicum of safety and attachment can be gained by becoming the extra helpful and compliant servants of their parents. They are usually children of at least one narcissistic parent who uses contempt to press them into service, scaring and shaming them out of developing a healthy sense of self, an egoic locus of self-protection, self-care, and self-compassion. This dynamic is explored at length in, he says, this is Pete Walker, in my East Bay therapist article, Codependency Trauma, the Fawn Response. I'll put that article below the video so you can access that. And codependency, in part, is where we have not been loved sufficiently in childhood, and it is a learnt behavior pattern. Now, the good thing about that is that we can unlearn it. And when we begin to unlearn it, then we'll start making different choices. And we'll begin to see how we, allow certain things to take place and how we begin to stop allowing certain interactions to take place. So we can see when we begin to heal this in us. Fawn types typically respond well to being psychoeducated. So psychoeducation is what we're doing now in this video, okay? And the Pete Walker's book as well, Pete Walker Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving, is also to do psychoeducation as well. He explains, this is especially true when the therapist persists in helping them recognize and renounce the repetition compulsion that draws them to the narcissistic types who exploit them. Therapy also naturally helps them to shrink their characteristic listening defense as they are guided to widen and deepen their self-expression. I have seen numerous invertebrate codependents finally progress in their assertiveness and boundary-making work when they finally got that even the thought of expressing a preference or need triggers an emotional flashback of such intensity that they completely disassociate from their knowledge of and the ability to express what they want. Role-playing assertiveness in session and attending to the stultifying inner critic process it triggers helps the codependent build a healthy ego. This is especially true when the therapist interprets, witnesses, and validates how the individual as a child was forced to put to death so much of their individual self. Grieving through losses further potentiates the developing ego. Okay, next slide. So this is Maslow's hierarchy of the human needs. So this is important to understand as well, the basic, normal, human, healthy needs. So at the bottom, we've got that we all need shelter, clean air, food, water, sleep. That's the physical. The next layer up is the love and belonging, security of employment, family, health, morality, resources, and property. You know, it doesn't mean owning property, but it means somewhere safe to live and stuff like that. Then we've got 3, which is safety, which is friendship, family, responsibility, and social needs. So we need that safety, you know, we all need that love. And, you know, we're going through a hard time right now on this lockdown of, you know, and social distancing. It's very difficult with a lot of people are having trauma come up from childhood and to be explored, of course, and healed. And then we've got esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others, so esteeming self. And then we've got contributing, morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, and lack of prejudice and contribution, that is. The whole point is that we do have to give ourselves time. Give yourself time. So you can see here you've got the caterpillar, then you've got the cocoon, and then you have the butterfly. And this process is time consuming, but it's worth the education and understanding that it doesn't happen overnight, and we can begin to transmute our early wounding and pain and make better choices in relationship, because we'll have our eyes will be opened and we'll begin to see. But there is a process, and the book Complex PTSD will help you understand this further. Then we've got here is a list of 14 common inner critic attacks, divided into key categories of perfectionism and endangerment, and each is paired with a healthier and typically more accurate thought substitution response. So the inner critic is the voice in our heads that came from childhood that is not our voice. So we need to, I'm going to go through this list briefly. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can always stop the video. I'm going to take a little bit from each 1 to the 14, I think it is, on this list. And then what you can do, I'm going to put the link below, which you'll also see from Pete Walker's website, that you'll be able to access and print yourself off a copy PDF. So perfectionism attacks. Perfectionism, you know, my perfectionism arose as an attempt to gain safety and support in a dangerous family. So it's worth knowing that. And then again, you can stop the video and continue reading, or you can read on, and we'll go to number 2. That we must get rid of the all or none and black and white thinking, you know, like all or nothing, like I'm not healed, I'm not good enough, and the all or none, you know, I'm not rich enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not that enough. We need to get rid of those thoughts, because overgeneralized descriptions and judgments and criticisms are not good for us. And also he adds here that the always or never. So when people say always, or you never do that, or you always do that, or when we say it to ourselves, he points out is typically grossly inaccurate generally when people use that against us and when we use it against ourselves. Number 3, we need to get rid of self-hate, self-disgust, and toxic shame. So it doesn't mean, you know, we might not get rid of it completely, but we work on it and we commit to being on our own side, that we know that we are a good enough person and refuse to trash ourselves and turn shame back into blame and disgust and externalize it to anyone who shames us for normal, healthy feelings and foibles. And then we move on. We're going to go to number 4, to stop micromanagement, worrying, obsessing, looping, over-futurizing. Really important. And again, stop the video, or you can print off the PDF once you get to his webpage and do that. Number 5 is unfair devaluing comparisons, like comparing ourselves to others. We are unique. We have to know this very deeply, that we are unique. And number 6, guilt feelings and so guilt feelings, guilty does not mean I am guilty. So I refuse to make my decisions and choices from guilt. So, you know, sometimes we're going to do things that may appear to be wrong to others or whatever. And, you know, we're human beings. We're on a life journey and we're all, you know, experiencing life. So we just figure stuff out as we go. Number 7, shoulding. So I will substitute the word should, the word, for I want to, or, you know, I feel like I want to do this, or I would like to do that. You know, we're under no obligation to should ourselves. Should, SHOULD, okay? Overproductivity is number 8, workaholism and busyholism. I am a human being, not a human doing. So we've got to slow down and stop being perpetually productive. And number 9 is harsh judgments of self and others and name calling, and, you know, not letting others bully us or critic us, and the same back. So you can read deeper on that too. Number 10 is drasticizing, catastrophizing, and hypochondriizing. So, you know, we can feel afraid but know that we're not in danger. And, you know, we're not in trouble with our parents anymore. And if we've had abusive parents, we need to understand that we're not children anymore, and we can stand up for ourselves and have healthy boundaries. Number 11, negative focus. I renounce over noticing and dwelling on what might be wrong with me or life around me. And I will not minimize or discount my attributes. And, you know, we can begin to notice and visualize our accomplishments and talents. Yeah. Friends, nature, music, film, food, beauty, color, pets. But there's a lot of beauty around us in our own lives. And we begin to make it, you know, as well. Number 12, time urgency. We don't have to rush everything. We're not in danger. It's okay to take a slower pace. Speeding up will put you into fight flight. Thinking that we've got to be healed overnight is going to put us in fight flight. You know, thinking that we've got to heal all of our wounds. You know, it is not all or nothing. Number 13, disabling performance anxiety. So, you know, again, I'm going to read this, but I reduce procrastination by reminding myself that I will not accept unfair criticism or perfectionist expectations from anyone. Even when I'm afraid, I will defend myself from unfair criticism, and I won't let fear make my decisions. Number 14, perseverating about being attacked. Perseverating about being attacked unless there are clear signs of danger. So, you know that you're safe. Unless there are clear signs of danger, then we know that we've got protection from the police, whoever we need to inform and such like. And again, that will be below. And then this is the book you're going to look for on Amazon. And I think that you can get it free on Kindle or free on Amazon Audible, depending whether it's Amazon UK or Amazon.com. And last but least, there are 13 steps to managing flashbacks on Pete Walker's website. And you've got the inner critic list, and you can also look at the shrinking the inner critic again on his website. And this is a bit about the book. I'm not a medical practitioner, disclaimer, but I do work with people to help them to evolve this stuff. I use evolutionary astrology. I've got a huge amount of wisdom on complex PTSD, and codependency. And I've also got knowledge of Carl Jung, and you may know or know who Carl Jung is, but you can look into that too. So that's it. That's the end of my video. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back with more in the coming few days. Catch you later.